Two sellers on the same street, same house, same list price. One of them walked away with $22,000 more than the other one. And here's why. On a $450,000 sale, 8 to 10% disappears before they even touch a check. Commissions, closing costs, repairs, credits, that's $36,000 to $45,000 just gone. The seller who won didn't get a higher offer, they got cleaner terms. There are 7 moves that decide which of these two sellers you end up being. The buyer's agent would rather you never learn any of these next 7 items, and number 4 costs a few $100s up front and saves you thousands of dollars in escrow and is almost never done by sellers I've talked to. And number 7 is a must do every single time. All right, so let's talk about move number 1. You need to think about net proceeds, not sales price, because the sales price is what your neighbors see on Zillow and what buyer's agents absolutely want you to focus on while they work the terms behind the scenes. The net proceeds are what you actually get. After commissions, closing costs, repairs, and concessions, you're looking at 8 to 10% right off the top, which on a $450,000 home means that $36,000 to $45,000, right? And that is a lot of money, so you need to start taking care of it right up front. Most sellers don't factor that in when they're comparing offers. They see $10,000 more on one bid and they think it's better. But if the bid asks for $8,000 in repairs and a $5,000 closing cost credit, you're behind before you even let the ink dry on the contract. The lower offer with cleaner terms always puts more money in your pocket where it matters. It's just business sense. The list price is just the headline, and your net proceeds are the real story. Now, move number 2 is about manufacturing competition, because you don't want your buyers trickling in one at a time over the course of 3 weeks while you slowly lose leverage and your listing gets stale. You want them to show up all at the same time, looking at each other and feeling the pressure. That's why launch timing and offer deadlines matter. Don't just list your house and hope. Create a concentrated window of exposure, set an offer deadline, and make sure buyers know that they have one shot to bring their best number up front instead of fishing with a lowball offer. Without a deadline, buyers have the leverage of time, and the time costs you money every single day. One offer on day 3 feels desperate, but 3 offers on day 7 feels like an auction, even when the price range is exactly the same. And the buyer's agents know this trick more than anyone. They want your listing to sit. They want to chip away at your price while you get nervous. You want it to move fast so the buyers start feeling the FOMO and are not confident that you'll cave if they just wait one more week. All right, this one is sneaky. A $10,000 price cut costs you $10,000, but a $5,000 credit toward closing costs or repairs might feel like the same thing to a buyer, but it costs you a lot less in the net impact and keeps your sales price intact on paper. Buyer's agents love blanket price cuts because they're simple to explain. You should love strategic concessions because they protect your net while you get the deal done. And here's the difference. When you drop the price, that money is gone. The buyer still might ask for more later, like additional credits or repairs and solving other specific problems. And these things can bleed you of your net proceeds. It's the same psychology, but half the financial damage. And most people never even think about it. A buyer sees a $10,000 price drop. They still come back with a repair list but hand them a $5,000 credit, and they feel like they've actually won something in negotiation. You spend half the money and get twice the goodwill. This is business sense 101, not sales fluff. But even the smartest concessions doesn't matter if you skip the move we're going to hit next. Number 4 is the one I've teased earlier. It's a big one. Most sellers wait for the buyer's inspection, then react in panic mode. A pre-listing inspection lets you take the reins of the deal. You figure out what all the terms and problems are going to be. You know exactly what they are up front. You can get quotes and have them laying out so they know exactly what the prices are, and there's less uncertainty for the buyer. Most sellers skip this move because it costs them a few $100 up front, and that hesitation costs them thousands later. When the buyer's inspector finds a $200 issue, a buyer's agent turns it into a $2,000 credit request every single time without blinking. You want to control the story from day one, not react to somebody else's version of in the middle of an escrow when you're already stressed out and just want to get the deal to close. I mean, think about the psychology. A buyer walks into an inspection blind and every little crack looks like a foundation problem that could cost tens of thousands of dollars. But a buyer who knows exactly what is going on right up front has no uncertainty and can not only provide you the highest possible price, but they know that they're not going to get bit in the end if they have to keep that price and aren't able to negotiate. You're making sure the narrative doesn't change or get away from you. Along those lines, here's number 5. The price is one line on a multiple page contract. Closing date, possession time, included items, appraisal gap coverage, repair credits, contingency links. All of these have real dollar values attached. And most sellers never think to negotiate them because they're too focused on the one big number on the top page. Somebody who needs 45 days close might pay more if they know that they can get the time. A buyer wants your washer and dryer. Let's negotiate that chip, not give it away as a gift. Buyer's agents want to keep the conversation focused on one thing and one thing only, and that is the big price. You should expand your conversations because that's how you protect your net. When you start talking about terms, you stop being a desperate seller and start being a business person on the other side of a transaction. And that changes how every single offer gets written from the very first point. If a seller gives away a $3,000 refrigerator because they're so focused on the price and they forgot to read through the personal property items listed in the contract, or sellers have agreed to a 60-day close, which costs a seller actual money. Everything on that contract is negotiable. Start treating it that way. Number 6 is where a good deal goes sideways. Buyer's agents are trained to ask why you're selling and how fast you need to be out. Every single answer you give becomes ammunition for the buyers. They use it against you as a negotiation tactic when they know the pressure is on. If they know you need to be out by the 15th, they know that you're going to cave on additional terms. If they hear you're relocating for work, they know that somebody else might be footing some of the other bills, so they know they can get that cheaper price. And it doesn't stop with an agent. Neighbors talk, your Facebook post. I know that my wife tracks down all of this stuff. She loves the research. So if you post that you're moving to Austin, it'll show up in your feed and everybody can find it. Even innocent comments at an open house get back to the other side. The less the buyer knows about your urgency, the more they have to bid based on property's actual value instead of the personal situation, which is exactly why your agent should be your firewall, not your chatty conduit. I had a client once who mentioned to a neighbor that they needed to be out by the end of the month. And that neighbor mentioned it to everyone who walked through the door, and the buyer's agents knew exactly how to leverage and drop the price lower and lower to make sure that the sellers didn't get what they wanted because they had to move out. So protect yourself. Last but not least is number 7. The worst negotiations happen when emotions are super high and that clock is ticking. So if you don't know your floor number, your true walk away and your non-negotiables, you're going to make an emotional decision under pressure that costs you thousands because you have no anchor when the offer comes in low and time is running out. The number should include net proceeds, your hard timelines and stops, and your non-negotiable terms. And you need to write them down every single time and for every single offer, not just keep them in your head, but on paper. When a buyer agent senses hesitation, they push harder, as they should. When they see a seller with a clear floor, they either meet it or they move on. And moving on is not a loss if the deal not going to go anywhere anyway. This is a move that sits underneath all the offers because all the tactics in the world don't matter one bit if you panic and at the finish line and give away what you've spent a whole lifetime negotiating and trying to protect. I tell every seller I work with to figure this out before they even list the house, not after they first get that first offer, not during escrow, but before anything happens at all. Because once you have that number on paper, every single decision gets easier and you stop second guessing yourself. When the pressure shows up at your door and starts pushing for concessions, it's much easier to just walk away. Easier decisions are what separate good sales from great ones. The difference between an average sale and squeezing out every single dollar isn't luck. It's controlling the frame before the other side does. If you want more straight talk, go ahead and subscribe. Let me know in the comments which one of these is going to make the most money for you when you implement it. And thank you so much for watching and have a great day.